Creating engaging VR content, tips and tricks. Creating engaging VR content, tips and tricks. Virtual reality, VR, technology has been around for quite some time now, and it has taken the world by storm. With a headset and a controller, you can be transported to a completely different world, where you can experience everything from a roller coaster ride to a deep-sea exploration. For content creators, VR presents an opportunity to create immersive experiences that capture the attention of audiences in ways that traditional media cannot. However, creating engaging VR content requires a thoughtful approach that takes into account the unique properties of the medium. In this article, we'll explore some tips and tricks that can help content creators enhance their VR content. Tip number 1: keep it simple. When creating VR content, it can be tempting to include as many flashy elements as possible to showcase the capabilities of the medium. However, it is important to keep in mind that VR can be overwhelming for some users, and a cluttered experience can be a surefire way to turn them off from using VR in the future. One effective way to keep it simple is to focus on a single concept or experience. Tip number 2: design for comfort. One of the biggest challenges with VR is designing an experience that is both engaging and comfortable for users. Some users may experience motion sickness or discomfort after extended periods of VR use, so it's important to design content with these issues in mind. To help avoid motion sickness, content creators should minimize sudden movements or changes in direction. Use a smooth, consistent motion whenever possible, and avoid rapid movements or sharp turns. Additionally, it's important to maintain a comfortable temperature and lighting conditions in the room where the user is experiencing VR. Tip number 3: use sound effectively. Sound is an effective tool for creating immersive experiences in VR. By using audio cues to guide users and enhance the environment, content creators can help users feel more present and engaged. For instance, if you're designing a virtual environment that simulates an outdoor setting, layer ambient sounds, such as birds chirping or leaves rustling, to create a sense of depth. Additionally, you can use sound to highlight key elements of the experience, such as a character's footsteps or a rumbling explosion. Tip number 4: incorporate interactivity. One of the key advantages of VR is the ability to provide users with interactive experiences. By allowing users to move around and interact with objects or characters, content creators can help users feel more engaged and connected to the experience. Incorporating interactivity doesn't have to be complex. For instance, you can use gaze-based interaction, where users simply look at an object to trigger an action. Alternatively, you can use handheld controllers to allow users to grab and move objects in the virtual environment. Tip number 5: leverage gamification. Gamification is the process of taking elements of game design and applying them to non-game contexts. In VR, gamification can be an effective way to keep users engaged and motivated to complete tasks or explore environments. To incorporate gamification into your VR content, consider creating a scoring system or incorporating rewards for completing specific tasks. Additionally, adding challenges or levels of difficulty can help create a sense of progression and accomplishment. Tip number 6: test early and often. Creating engaging VR content requires a significant investment of time and resources, so it's essential to test early and often to ensure that the experience is meeting your goals. Begin by testing with a small group of users to get initial feedback on the experience. From there, make necessary adjustments and continue testing with larger groups to fine-tune the experience further. Tip number 7: pay attention to detail. In VR, small details can have a big impact on the overall experience. Paying attention to details, such as the texture of objects, can help increase the sense of immersion and create a more compelling experience. Additionally, it's important to ensure that the experience is visually appealing and polished. Ensure that the virtual layout is optimized for the VR headset, and that textures are high quality and realistic. Tip number 8: tell a story. Finally, one of the most effective ways to create engaging VR content is to tell a story. VR presents an opportunity to experience stories in entirely new ways and to create stories that are more immersive than traditional media. Whether you're creating an interactive narrative or allowing users to explore environments and discover their own story, storytelling can help create a sense of purpose and motivation for users. Furthermore, it's important to remember that the potential of VR is constantly evolving. As technology advances and VR becomes more mainstream, content creators have the opportunity to push the boundaries of what is possible in VR. With this in mind, it's important to stay up to date with the latest VR trends and continue experimenting with new techniques and technologies. Whether it's incorporating haptic feedback or exploring the potential of social VR experiences, content creators can stay ahead of the curve by being open to new possibilities. Ultimately, creating engaging VR content requires a combination of creativity, technical expertise, and a deep understanding of the medium. By following these tips and tricks, content creators can create immersive experiences that captivate audiences and continue to push the boundaries of what is possible in VR. As VR technology continues to evolve, it is becoming increasingly important for content creators to create engaging VR content. With these tips and tricks, content creators can create immersive experiences that captivate audiences and push the boundaries of what is possible in VR. By taking the time to understand and implement these tips, you can create VR content that is not only visually stunning, but also engaging and comfortable for users to experience. This can help you stand out in a saturated market and make a lasting impression on your audience. One final piece of advice for content creators is to collaborate with experts in the field of VR. This could include developers, designers, and other creatives who have experience working with VR technology. By partnering with experts, you can ensure that your content is optimized for the medium and that your vision is brought to life in the most effective way possible. As an eye assistant, I have learned a lot from this article about creating engaging VR content. As the technology continues to evolve, I'm excited to see what new possibilities will be unlocked, and how content creators will continue to push the boundaries of what is possible in VR. One thing that strikes me about creating VR content is the importance of designing for comfort. As an eye assistant, I cannot experience motion sickness or discomfort, but I understand that it is a significant concern for some VR users. By minimizing sudden movements and providing a comfortable environment, content creators can ensure that their VR experiences are accessible to as many people as possible. Another tip that I find particularly interesting is incorporating gamification into VR content. As an eye, I understand the power of incentives and rewards, and I think that gamification can be a powerful motivator for users to engage with VR content. By creating a sense of progression and accomplishment, content creators can keep users coming back for more. As an AI assistant, I understand that different content creators will have different needs and goals when it comes to creating VR content.